Remember when you were young? You just got home from school and decide what game to boot up. But finally you choose this. Forza Horizon 1, the game that changed the history of car games and entertained millions of people with its cars, races and awesome world. Well, I never got to experience that. I was 4 years old back then. Instead, one day I thought, man, new Forza Horizon games are way too expensive. I heard that there is an emulator for older Horizons. Maybe I should try it out. And here we are! In this video I will mainly talk about 4 things: the story, races, cars and the world. I might even add some honorable mentions of smaller things I enjoy about this game. I also want to talk about how I even managed to play FH1 on PC, but that is something for the end of the video. Before all of that, I will quickly talk about how this amazing game series even started. In 2012, Microsoft decided they had to make a racing game better than Gran Turismo. They had already been battling for the best racing game title long enough, but instead of making another motorsport game, since what's the fun in driving on the same tracks over and over, right? Well, with the help of Playground Games, they cooked up an open world street racing game called Forza Horizon. It was released on Microsoft's Xbox 360 and quickly became one of the most beloved open world racers ever. It featured arcade-style gameplay, beautiful roads, a great selection of cars, tweaked physics from motorsport and quite a good story. Now that you understand the game a bit more, it's time to begin. In Forza Horizon, you start as a nobody. You're just some random guy who decided to take part in a huge music and racing event called the Horizon Festival. And I have to say, the beginning intro is amazing. First you race a Dodge Viper against the champion of the festival, Darius Flint, and his Ferrari. Later you, the protagonist, have to race to the festival in an epic race with some of the best music in a racing game. At the festival you're given a wristband, which gets upgraded if you get enough points from competing in races. The goal of the game is to gain popularity, get better cars, win races, and eventually beat the almighty Darius Flint. Personally, I love a story like this, where you have to build up your reputation and become popular from just being the average car guy. It makes the story and character have a lot more significance to the world and the game. It doesn't make the character seem like some overpowered driving god by getting a really fast car in the start and making the bot slower than a grandma. It's interesting how older Horizon games managed to even have such a good story with an actual meaning. Not like nowadays where the story is basically non-existent and so boring most people ignore it. For a driving game like this, and really a lot of other games, a good story is really important to keep the player invested in the game. And this may be why people love Forza Horizon 1. It has a great story. I really enjoy the races of Horizon 1. They are all great right from the first one in the introduction of the game to the last race. They are all well done and I feel they aren't too short or too long. Even where there's a shorter track, you just have 2 laps or more. Though there are definitely races I absolutely did not like. For example, I didn't like a lot of the circuit races. I think it's great that even in this Horizon game, they had races with different terrain. The asphalt races feel really good. I love the drifting physics as on controller it just feels nice. And on gravel I really like how there's actual vibration on my controller. It's really neat how you start a race. You drive to some sort of trailer where you can sign yourself up for a race, and it's a lot nicer than driving to a circle to start a race. Lastly, I think it's very good that I can just change the difficulty in every race separately. It makes it a lot better than changing the overall game difficulty. Though I do feel like hard mode is too difficult at times, and medium is too easy. I even started playing on pro mode, and with only how its street races, it was quite good, but with everything else it was near to impossible. And somehow the farther I got in the game, the more difficult hard mode got. I mean, it's confusing as hell, man. I also do have to say that it's a bit too easy to get a lot of cars. I think with 5 hours of gameplay, I had about 10 already. But the good thing is that you don't get a crazy amount of money from races. To summarize, I would say, the races feel pretty good, except for the lapped ones, and progression is just okay. First things first, I think the street cars are great. There is a good selection of them, like sports, street and muscle cars. There's also some cars for off-road races, since normal street cars aren't eligible to drive on them. These range from rally cars like the Subaru Impreza to big off-roaders like the Ford Raptor. I like the fact that they have both street and rally cars, and that they actually feel like they are meant for their terrain. The main thing I love about the cars is the customization. Even in the very first Horizon, they managed to nail the upgrading system. There aren't that many bumpers, spoilers or side skirts, but it's just enough to make the car look cool. And then the actual upgrades, there are lots of them. Engine upgrades, handling, brakes, suspension, chassis reinforcement, driveline and much more. It's all very easy to upgrade and I think the pricing is quite okay. The thing I like the most about the cars are the barn finds. In FH1 there are 9 highly rare cars scattered around the world in barns. Once you find them, they get restored pretty quickly, and they are extremely good looking. I really love their choice of cars for the barn finds, since it makes them very special, and in real life they're also highly rare. Lastly, I do really like the design of the cars. Even for such an old game, it doesn't look bad at all, and the sound. It's on another level of beauty. This just proves the age of games doesn't matter, because the car sounds are magnificent. Sports cars sound majestic, muscle cars roar, and supercars are like ASMR to my ears. Now yes, newer games also have beautiful car sounds, but the fact that a game this old sounds this good is simply crazy. Just listen to the cars for a second. I also want to say that the sense of speed is not that good. There were many times I was driving at 150 to 170 kilometers, which is very fast, but I didn't even realize I was going so quick. It felt like I was driving at 100 kilometers. Though I would say that newer Forza Horizon suffer from the same problem. The world of Horizon 1 may just be the biggest reason I love this game. The map is based on Colorado, and it's got a desert, a mountainous area, some towns and some cool bridges. There's a lot of life in the FH1 world. It's really vibrant and colorful. It just looks pretty. It goes to show that graphics don't matter. Even older games can look great. The map is also pretty big, but not too much, which is why I think it doesn't feel lifeless. These days open world racers just feel empty. Yes, they have bigger maps, but does it matter if there isn't enough traffic and people to make it feel alive? It's like developers just made the map and put a couple cars in there and said, yeah, that's enough. That's why Forza Horizon 1 is so good. It's big enough where going to the other side of the map takes at least 10 minutes, yet there is a great amount of traffic and even other street racers pass by you sometimes. There's a good amount of towns scattered around the map, and I would say they all look good, though they are a bit small. All the areas feel very well put together, and even though I have never played FH1, every part of the game makes me feel something. It's like nostalgia I never had, and I think it's because of my first Forza Horizon experience. I once got to play FH3 when I was about 8 years old, and when I drive around in FH1 or I'm tuning cars, I just go back to that moment. It makes me remember The Ferrari 812 I repainted into some ugly color combo, like purple and green I think. It's crazy how a game I have never even played makes me feel like this, just because it's similar to a Horizon game I have played. But that's why I love FH1. Just driving on the roads in a sunset, not even going fast, calmly enjoying the view with the best music I've ever heard in a game. It truly is a special feeling, and I'm sure I'll never forget it. Before I talk about the emulator to even play FH1, I want to talk about another important aspect of the game: the music. Since the game is about the music and racing festival, the music is very important. Like I have already said, I love the music of the game. Each radio is a vibe, and I have a couple favorites from them all.
I wanna party to my last breath, till there ain't no air in my lungs left. I wanna party to death, in the club till I'm old like who next? Switching up my girls like who's next? Yeah, get around, switch it up like roulette. Nicki, Michelle, Carrie Ann and Juliet.
And if you haven't already noticed, some of the music in the background is also from the game. Finally, I will quickly talk about the Xbox 360 emulator called Xenia. With the emulator and a working download, you can play every Xbox 360 game ever made, I think. Though it sounds great and seems like a blessing, it isn't perfect. The good parts of Xenia is that you can play games on 60 FPS and being able to play every Xbox 360 game on the emulator. But sadly there are a bit more problems. The sound and HUD of the game glitch from time to time, cars glow green and also glitch, though this can be fixed by pressing F5 a couple times. Also the game lags, freezes and crashes, but lag is definitely the most common. Even with the bugs and glitches, I think it's insane that Horizon 1 even functions on PC, but with today's technology anything's possible, I guess. After 11 years of car games, I would say Forza Horizon 1 has aged really well. It feels more alive and vibrant than a lot of car games nowadays. It's a lot more loved than the newer Horizons and managed to almost be a perfect open world racers. But that's it from me. Goodbye and see you in the next video.